Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome back to another episode of the Burt and Burger Show, the Burt and Burger Podcast, episode 94. Happy to have all of you lovely folks listening to us today. I'm your host, Burger. With me, as always, is your other host, Burt. We're just trying to bring a little bit of the family element to the podcast world, ladies and gents. But before we get too far into it, Burt, where can they go if they want to see some more Burt and Burger? Screw the guests. Let's just plug our shit right now. We're more important at this time.
So we have been playing some games over on Twitch, so you can hop over there if you are interested in that. Yeah, over on Twitch.
Well, you didn't start off with yes, so I'm proud of you there. So check us out on Twitch, though, guys. Twitch.tv dot whatever the fuck it is. BRTNBURGER. You'll find Burt and Burger there. Now we talk about the guest for the next 3 hours. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We got an exciting guest with us today. A TikToker that we've been following for a bit. Somebody that decided that he would stoop down this low and come on our show. Mr. GiJoel is on the podcast with us today. How you doing, Joel?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Hell yeah. Very excited for us to call you. So do you want us to call you Joel? Is that fine? Or do we call you GI or Sergeant or fucking Captain? Or
Yeah, you can just call me Joel. Yeah, the GI Joel is just a, username, tag type of thing. So yeah, you can just call me Joel.
Right.
More interesting than Burt and Burger. It's kind of cute. I like it. I was going to say, is your name really Joel?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. So, but yeah, Joel, if you just kind of want to introduce yourself to the audience, tell them what you do and everything like that, and we'll just get right into it, man. I'm real excited about this episode.
Awesome. Yeah. So, like I said, GI Joel is my online name for everything, anywhere that you're on social media. So I make TikToks primarily. That's a big part of what I do. In terms of my, social media outreach and everything. But my story is January of this year, 2021. I left my full-time job. I was working at a large national bank as a, retail banker in a branch. I left that job after about 3.5 years to pursue my dream of owning my own comic book shop.
Wow.
So I left there. I had an online shop that I had just started a couple of months prior, and I wanted to kind of commit myself to it fully. So back in January, I started recording TikToks, just kind of, vlogging my journey as it would, the things I did every day to kind of help grow my business and everything. Another reason I stayed home or I left my job was, my son, my wife had to go back to work after her leave period. So we didn't want to put my son in daycare. So, during the day and stuff, I'm primarily a stay-at-home dad. But, when I can, I work on my business and everything, and it gives me time to work on social media. But yeah, it's kind of evolved from the making TikToks and things like that to now I, do YouTube and I have the shop. So just kind of trying to grow an online persona and everything, a brand, if you will, with all of that. But yeah, I've been doing that pretty much full time since mid-January. Just trying to grow my online comic book store, and hopefully we'll be able to open a real store someday in the near future.
Heck yeah, man.
Very cool.
Well, we can say confidently that online persona, you definitely have down, man. For
Thank
sure.
you.
I mean, just the personality and the humor that you bring, and we got to start with the most important thing, man. I mean, the stash is unbelievable.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
It's beautiful, man. I mean, that's the very first thing I think we all notice, right, Bert?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
It's awesome. Yeah,
Thank you.
for sure. Is the stash new, or are you like, I got to be known for something on talk? It's going to be the stash. We're going to have competitions on who has the mustache across of the lands of TikTok.
Had this mustache for close to 10 years now.
Okay.
I was in the military, and that was like the only facial hair that we were allowed to have was well-trimmed mustaches. So to give you an idea, my wife and we have been together for almost 6 years, and she has never seen me without a mustache. So I've had it for quite some time. And it's just, at this point, I'm so used to having it on my face, I wouldn't recognize myself without it,
Sure.
Oh yeah.
Sure. Gotcha. Now, does all the other facial hair grow in as beautifully as that, or is it kind of all over the place? So you're like, you know what? I'll just keep the stash. That's what Daddy can do well.
I could grow a full beard. I've done it, here and there. When I first left the military, I didn't shave for about a year. and my beard was down to right about my chest.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's a lot to maintain and gets itchy. And I live in Texas, so it gets hot. And
Sure.
it's more of a. I always preferred the mustache look, anyways. But yeah, the beard, I can grow one. It's just is it worth it to me? You know, when I think about it.
Sure. Yeah. Totally understandable. And you can actually grow a good stash too. It's really hard for anybody to grow one. See, my cousin came over the other day. And he literally looked like a child molester. So it just
was so bad.
Yeah, you can do it badly, let's say, and most of them are bad. But Mr. Joel here really knows how to grow one, Bert. Maybe you should take some notes.
I definitely should. Yeah.
Thank you. I'll have to make a tutorial or something about it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, seriously. What you could do is it could be like in Practical Jokers, where for a punishment they cut off Q's hair, and then they made Murray, wear it as a wig. Like a permanent wig. So you could just trim your stash hair, and then send it to Bert. Then he can wear it. It's so fucking gross. That's so gross.
Yeah, that is quite the idea there.
I bet you though, like if you shave your stash, it'll be like when Elvis cut his hair, and it'll be worth like a bag of it's like $200,000 or something like that.
Probably, we're getting close to that. The stash has become kind of almost a trademark of its own with everything. I always get, almost once a day or a couple times a week, people commenting, "That's a great stash." And I'm like, "Thank you. I take pride in my mustache. Got to take care of it, trim it very carefully. I don't want to nick it and have to mess it all up."
So scary.
It can be a little like, oh, I don't want to, got to keep it just right. So thankfully, this long into it, I kind of know some little tricks and stuff to kind of cover up any mistakes.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah. No, I'm looking at your profile picture, and even just scrolling through some of your videos on Talk here, just like at a glance. I mean, it's so good that it looks fake. Like it literally looks like you just like are wearing like a disguised mustache, but then it's actually a welly groomed, trimmed out, beautiful son of a gun. So
well, I appreciate that.
What we're saying is we're jealous because we can't grow facial hair. We're shit.
I gotcha. Just a little bit of time and Miracle Grow,
Yeah. Bert's sitting there like pouting because he's like, "Oh, I can grow shit." No, you can't. I've seen it. It's bad. It's bad. So, but for both of us too. So we're trying to be men. But anyways, man, I mean, just going into some more stuff. I mean, diving right into it. The thing that helped me kind of come across your stuff, Joel, was the big video that you had with Mr. Gary V.
Yes. Yeah, that video was fairly popular on his page. I reposted it on mine. Yeah, that was quite the experience getting to meet him briefly there.
Yeah. I bet, and that's awesome, and I wanted to talk about that a little bit. I didn't want to go into too much stuff about that because we're here to talk to Joel. But this is a pretty exciting thing to be able to talk to somebody like Gary V there. So how did that kind of come up to where you were able to meet? Because the only thing I think I've seen on it is like his clip of you. What was it, doing the 9 to 12 minutes or whatever, and then I pitched it to you, and now here you are. So I guess it does work. Holy shit.
Yeah. So I listen to the Gary V podcast fairly regularly. When I'm walking the dogs or something like that. But there's a new series that he started a couple of weeks ago, and it's the one that I was on, called Fdf Fridays. And they live stream it on LinkedIn. It's with the founder of this, I wouldn't say they're like a venture capitalist firm, but like an investment firm that is Clearco. They're trying to do investing in startups and things a little bit differently. But yeah, I listened to like the first episode that they did. It was, on the podcast, got syndicated on there. And at the end of the podcast, they're like, if you would like to have a chance to be on the Fdf Friday show, go to the link in the description, fill out the form. And I did. And then about a week later or so, I got an email from someone from the firm, the Clearco investment firm, asking me if I wanted to be on the Gary V podcast, or the Gary, on with him and with Gary V and with Michelle, who was the other host. And I was like, was a little skeptical of it first. I was like, is this legit? Did this actually come from them? And then after a little bit of research, I was like, no, this is the real deal. So yeah, I did that, and they had me on. It was me and another creator who is an artist from Portugal who is on TikTok and on Instagram and stuff. But her and I, our following size and our influence and stuff is pretty close in size. So I think they were trying to just have people in more creative positions and stuff. And I was able to go on for a live stream with Gary, do a couple of questions with him, kind of about strategic stuff for growing a business, growing a band, marketing, of course, that's his whole thing. And during that time, I knew going in that I wanted to try to get him on my YouTube channel and get an interview with him by me.
Sure.
And I've heard people ask him before, because like I said, I've been listening to him for a couple of years now. You know, I've read some of his books and stuff. I was like, well, he always says, ask for short periods of time. And I did that. And he said yes. So that was a pretty cool experience.
Yeah. Yeah. That he was very excited that you did that, man. He was very proud of you.
Yeah. Yeah. I like I said, I listened to him. I even told him at the time, I was like, I listen to you all the time. I know how to talk to you.
Yeah.
Because that's what he says. He's like, as I've heard people ask him in other podcasts and stuff, if like, oh, Gary, can you come and do an interview? And they'll say like, can I get 30 minutes of your time? And he's like, if you had asked for 10 minutes of my time, I would have said yes. So I was like, I'll ask for somewhere around 10 minutes. And yeah, he ended up, you know, I got it all scheduled and everything. Gonna be interviewing him in a month or two. So looking forward to it. He's a nice guy. It's nice being able to talk to him and stuff. So
yeah, that's happening in January, right? You wanted to talk about comic books or something like that, right?
Yeah, we're going to be discussing NFTs. That's a space that he's pretty heavily involved in.
Okay.
And kind of their future in the comic book collecting and everything like that. Not something that gets discussed a lot within the greater kind of comic book community. So I kind of wanted to be part of starting that conversation.
Sure. Well, that should be very helpful for you, man. I mean, you already got a pretty nice audience now, but Gary Vee has like over 10 million followers on Talk. So, he's a very successful individual.
Yes, yeah. So it was you know, it's one of those things. I've been listening to him for a long time. I always thought maybe I'd have a chance to meet him at a keynote or something, but the fact that I get to interview him now is pretty cool. I never thought it was going to happen, and it kind of worked out for me. So,
And I'm sure you're literally going to have it all scheduled out. Like you're going to have notes and bullet points. You're like, we're going to ask him then this at this minute, 30-second mark, and you're going to milk as much of that 10 minutes as you possibly can, which would be the absolute smartest thing you could do.
Now, I've already started working on everything to ask him, so it is well underway, the planning of all of that, because it is definitely got to get the most out of it to you know, bring value to my audience, and of course get the most time out of him that I can. So who knows, maybe I can get him going and it'll be longer than 10 minutes. That's kind of the goal.
Yeah, that's definitely. I know that happens a lot with people. Is they come on for that, and then you get them going about something, and then you can really get some more time on them. Just call them a bitch or something, then I'm sure it'll keep going. That's kind of my plan. It's just like, hey, can I take 30 minutes out of your time? Well, no, if you said 10 minutes, I would have said, yes, okay, but I don't want you on for 10 minutes, so fuck off. No, I'm kidding.
I'll just talk crap about the Jets or something.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Big Jets fan, so.
yeah, that's really exciting, though, that you got on, and it had to be super exciting. Like, did you know he was going to post that on TikTok, or was that kind of a surprise to you? All of a sudden, people were like, yo, you're on Gary's channel.
I mean, I figured he would post it, or his team would post it around on social media. That's like a big part of what they do. Did not know they were going to do it on TikTok and then tag me in it, which was pretty cool. For that, they gave me a kind of a nice boost that day. But I mean, I figured it would happen. I just wasn't really expecting anything. I'm in my phone all day anyway, so I mean, it was pretty cool being able to, all of a sudden get a at Gary V mentioned you in his video notification. That's not something that happens very often, so it was a nice little surprise to see it on there. I wasn't expecting it, but it was cool for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the balls you have on you, dude, for you to ask that question, is so respectable.
Thank
Seriously. It's like the guys' ball size in Squid Games, one of the VIP members there. Like, I was just I would be so scared to do that. It's nice with texting or Instagram or Twitter. Like, you can just send them a DM, man. I mean, I can call anybody anything over a text message for the most part. But to be there, like, in person, it's just like, you could kind of see, like, when you were getting ready to ask him, he was kind of like,
shifting around a little bit, yeah.
Be busy, and then you pulled out his own, medicine on him, and then next thing you know, he's here, man. So it looks like in your face too, you're like, okay, I'm gonna ask him to come on my show.
Yeah.
It worked out, man.
Yeah, I mean, I figured I got all my questions in, and I was like, I might as well go for it. I kind of wanted to, when going in, I was like, I got to shoot my shot. I got to try and get him on and get an interview with him. I was like, this is my opportunity. And, he went for it. I guess fortune favors the bold sometimes, because I was a little nervous asking him. I was like, man, I'm about to get shot down on LinkedIn live stream with thousands of people watching. I was like, well, I got to go for it. So I did.
That's ballsy. Cool. That's ballsy. Super respectful, man. But that's awesome. I don't even know. I'd be like, yo, Gary, you want to come on Bert and Burger? And he'd be like, no. And I'm like, okay, fuck you too.
That's it.
No, that's awesome. All right, so enough about Mr. V talk here. We got to talk about the GiJoel, our buddy here. So, Bert, why don't you? We'll start off the conversation here, since it's been approximately 15 minutes since you said your last word. Especially since you DC'd from the fucking call. So.
I was freaking out.
Yeah. Don't worry, I only made fun of your facial hair and said you couldn't grow shit. So.
Yeah. No, I did actually hear that.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. You heard the insult, and then you just turned it off. You're like, hey, this guy's being a dick.
Yeah, I had to pretend. My internet went out.
But yeah, no. We have a guest today, Bert. So
we do.
This is my buddy Joel.
Yeah. Nice to meet you.
What would you like to know about Joel?
Yeah. So it looks to the layman that you are a big comic book guy.
Yeah, a little bit.
a little bit of a big comic book guy. Yeah. I personally am probably the least knowledgeable on the subject.
Yeah,
here.
you better watch your fucking mouth.
I know.
I honestly think they're fucking weird as hell, and all of you fuckers is where Bert was going with that.
No, I did used to read a lot. Never like the actual official comic books, but just kind of like I guess comic panels, manga-y type of stuff. Yeah, dirty. No, I'm kidding. But yes. So, I'm curious what your favorite group, between DC, Marvel, whatever, kind of like the Avengers, Justice League, the X-Men, anything. Do you have any particular? I don't know what they'd be considered, like a
team or
a team. Yes. Do you have a favorite team?
I mean, it kind of varies for me depending on what I'm reading. I read a lot of comics, and I try not to be too, like, some fans and stuff real solidified in my opinions. But right now, I would say my favorite team would be the Teen Titans. Nightwing, Cyborg. We haven't seen them on the big screen. They do have a TV show on HBO Max, but haven't gotten a movie for them yet. Hopefully someday. But I would say the Teen Titans is probably one of my favorite teams.
That would definitely be cool. Yeah, I grew up with all the cartoons and stuff.
Isn't that one of the ones you actually watched growing up?
That's one that I watched a lot. Yeah.
They did have
I thought you
two
did.
cartoons.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, that would definitely be cool.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, we have a live-action Cyborg, and they have a TV show called Titans that's loosely based around, like, the comic books. Things are a little bit different on there. I just recently started watching that one. But it would be cool to get them a live-action version of them on a movie or, something like that. But yeah, I would say right now I'm reading a couple Teen Titans books that are on a regular basis right now. So they're kind of at the top of my list.
Huh. I totally... I'm always telling, like I told the last comic book guy that came on, I'm like, yeah, dude, X-Men's my favorite. They got Toad, they got Wolverine.
Toad. You start
Toad
that off with
favorite.
Toad. When you talk about X-Men, The very first one you talk
Is
about
Toad.
is Toad.
I
literally thought you got
Interesting
Mario and fucking X-Men mixed up, but I'm glad
No,
Frog Boy is where you started that conversation.
Yeah, but that's like I don't know how I forgot about Teen
Toad.
Titans. But yeah,
they're
no, Toad. No, yeah.
Not a super popular one all the time with Teen Titans, but X-Men are great too. I do love the X-Men. It's just hard to keep up with the X-Men because I think right now they have like 6 or 7 titles that are running because you have X-Men, you have X-Force, you have X-Factor. They have all these different teams and stuff that kind of, I say that like the X-Men are like their universe within a universe. You know what I mean? Like you have the greater Marvel storyline and everything. And then the X-Men have their own thing going on within that universe that's very separate and kind of covers all the things that you would see in like the rest of the Marvel universe. They have their magic side, they have their space side, they have their more grounded action teams and stuff like that. So you kind of get like everything that you would get from the rest of Marvel Comics. You can just get that in X-Men. That's because X-Men are probably the best thing Marvel has ever created. So I would go say
there.
It's the most unique thing that they've ever done for sure. It's definitely definitely up there.
So I've been a big superhero fan my whole entire life. I started with the Maguire movies.
Nice.
I'm sure you've seen them, right?
Yeah.
I want to be like Bert and be like, yeah, you've heard of what's that guy's name? Spider Boy or something like that?
Yeah.
Fucking dumbass. But that's where I started was with the Tobey Maguire movie. So Tom Holland can fuck off. But unless he wants to come on our podcast. But that's kind of where I started. I started out with them, absolutely fell in love with just the superhero genre. This was before they were out for a few years. So like I remember seeing Spider-Man 3 in theaters. So that gives you about a time frame on when I started. I was pretty young. I was in elementary school when that came out. So so I got into those, and then I kind of not moved on, but the Fantastic Four, with Chris Evans in it. Both of them, I really like those a lot. Yup, exactly. Love those movies. And then the Hulk one with Eric Bana and Sam Elliott and everything like that. Those were my big ones there. So I was a superhero guy before they were cool amongst my friends. Would you say you were kind of the same way, like as comic books? I mean, you have your own goddamn store for fuck's sakes. I mean, you gotta like them a little bit more there. I never really got into comics, but I imagine you've been a fan for. This isn't a recent hobby you've picked up.
No, so I actually, when I say my love of comics and everything, actually began with like comic strips in the newspaper. I used to read Charlie Brown and the Peanuts every day when I got home from school. Still a huge Charlie Brown fan. It's one of my closest fandoms. But
my dad actually asked if I was getting Charlie Brown on the podcast tonight.
Nice.
So I'm pretty much going to tell him yes at this point.
Cool.
But yeah, that's where I started kind of reading them, buying like the books at the book fairs and stuff. And I grew up with, as far as the superhero stuff, it was, the Batman animated series, the Spider-Man animated series, all in the early 90s. Watching them live, and then all their reruns on Saturday mornings and everything for years afterwards. I do remember seeing the first Tobey Maguire movie in theaters. I think I was in middle school when that one came out. So I was already pretty deep in my love then. When it comes to like the comic book collecting side, we didn't have the internet and stuff when I was a kid. So like you kind of just had to fly by the seat of your pants when it came to collecting comic books. I would have to either work up the nerve to ask the guy that owned the store behind the counter if he could teach me how to, collect comics, or just kind of dive into the boxes and find one that looks cool and, that I could afford, and I would buy it. That's pretty much what I did for years. Was I just, would go to the comic book store in my hometown. I would jump into a box, find a couple comics that are $1, $2, and I would buy those and read them and go back and buy some more. And I did that for a while. And And yeah, I kind of stopped collecting for a while, and then I recently got back into the actual collecting and everything about 2 years ago. But yeah, it's been a lifelong thing, loving comics, reading comics, just the whole thing. It's always been something I've really enjoyed.
Very cool.
What is it about the comics and everything like that that's just so fascinating to you, where the actual love for the comics come in?
I think it's just, real genuine storytelling. Most of the movies that we see today, a lot of TV shows and stuff, they're based out of comic books, right? Even beyond like the superhero genre and stuff, right? I mean, The Walking Dead was a comic book. Kind of saved comic books from destruction in a lot of ways. A lot of the Netflix series that we're seeing coming out and that we're going to be seeing coming out over the next couple of years all started in comic books.
Sure.
And, what they're capable of doing in a comic goes beyond, obviously, because it's on paper, they can draw it, they can there's no budget restraints. They can kind of do whatever they want. So you get a lot crazier stories with some really fantastic artwork, of course. So, you kind of just, I've always been like a real big reader as well, too, when I was a kid growing up. Always loved reading. So, always been like a ferocious reader in a lot of ways. So that's probably a big part of it. But, you just get really pure storytelling, a lot of great stories. And I enjoy the community for the most part that I've been able to kind of build around myself with it and everything. And, one of my closest friends growing up, he's a big comic book nerd too. So we've kind of always had that in common. But yeah, I really enjoy storytelling and really, original storytelling. And you get that a lot in comics.
Yeah, there's definitely more like, I don't know, more, what the hell am I trying to say? There's like the density of information, and then you can kind of use your imagination to kind of fill in the gaps of the, I guess, of the big explosion-y stuff they have to make on the screen. But, yeah.
It's just real pure storytelling. A lot of original storytelling. And, like I said, a lot of the, TV shows and stuff that people like, it's, it started as a comic book, and the comic book is usually better. So, the book is almost always better than the movie, right? So,
yeah. So, yet again, my very elementary knowledge of this, on the school grounds, there was always a battle. Okay, DC versus Marvel.
Yeah.
Now, do you fall into that? Or, I mean, I see you kind of have a lot of everything, but do you lean more DC? Do you lean more Marvel?
When I was a kid, I probably would have leaned more Marvel than DC. It's probably changed a lot when I was younger. Now, I actually tend to follow, like, writers and artists.
Okay.
Because, in my kind of experience with comic books and stuff, it's not the publisher or the characters that make comic books what they are. It's the writers and the artists, those are, and there is no such, no writers work exclusively for one company. They're all pretty much freelance, work for hire type positions for most comic book writers and stuff. So I read a lot of both of the two big two, but I read even more indie comics, which are the non-big two. So I don't really fall in the verses like most people do.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was actually going to ask, I saw that on your talk. Yeah, what is an indie? What's an indie comic exactly?
Yeah, it's so any comic that's not from Marvel or DC is an indie comic. The Walking Dead was an indie comic that was published by Image. Lock and Key, which is a series on Netflix now as well, is published by IDW. Some other Netflix series that we're going to be seeing here in the coming years were published by, they have actually an exclusive contract with Boom Studios, which is another independent comic book distributor or publisher. So yeah, it's basically any of the comic book companies that aren't Marvel and DC.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
Or, self-published creator owned. That's come a more recent thing too, with like the rise of crowdfunding and Kickstarters and things like that. You get a lot more, truly independent comic book creators that crowdsource a comic book to get it printed, which I think is really cool too. That's kind of the, heart and soul of the hobby. So you get a lot of that too, self-published titles and things.
Yeah, that's probably a really cool avenue.
Yeah.
Like, when you have this story ideas, being able to bring them to life in a comic book.
Yeah, there's like quite a few of them that I'm in touch with on TikTok, and they go on there to promote their comics because they don't have a big company selling it for them, so they kind of go to comic book shops and comic cons and try to get people to buy their comic book, and so they can make more copies and continue the story and stuff.
That is cool.
When you brought up the crowdfunding thing, that made me think of something else, and we talked about him a little bit earlier, but Elvis is getting his own comic book too. So
wow.
Yeah, they have a graphic novel about it, and
Nice.
they have an actual comic coming out where he's like agent or something like that.
Very cool.
What was this fucking stupid comic called? I thought it was the stupidest idea ever.
Huh.
He was actually a big comic book fan, Elvis.
Yeah, he was.
He was a big Shazam fan.
Okay.
Big Shazam fan.
Yeah, that's where most of his costumes were designed off of.
Yeah,
I can see
Agent
it.
King is what
Agent
it's called.
King. Very cool.
We will be working on Agent King diligently. It should be released in 2022 per his ex-wife.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'll have to look
She
into
said
that.
something else about it. Here's a teaser, another picture of him. There was something there where she specifically talked about like the idea behind it. But basically, yeah, Agent King, it shows Elvis like blowing on a gun like he's James Bond or something.
Yeah.
Blowing the smoke out of it, not blowing like the fucking gun. I don't know why
Yeah.
I said that like third there. So yeah, that might be a banger. That
Yeah.
might overtake Spider-Man, dude.
We'll see.
Never know.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, here it is. Thrilled to... Oh, my goodness. Maybe it's not a fucking comic book. Thrilled to partner with Netflix on an adult animated action comedy series, Agent King. In the series, Elvis Presley is covertly inducted into a secret government spy program to battle the dark forces that threaten the country he loves, all while holding down his day job as the king of rock and roll.
Well, he did get a DEA badge from President Nixon, so they're probably basing it around that, I would imagine. That was the first thing that came to
Yeah.
mind when he said agent, so.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. This is really cringe. I hate this.
Okay.
I literally I don't like that they said that threaten a country that he loves. Okay, now we're doing some Star Spangled Banner bullshit. What was that nationalism you called it, Bert, last
Oh,
week?
boy.
Oh no,
Perhaps.
they're gonna massacre my boy.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah, no, it'll probably
Interesting choice for a person to base around as Elvis.
Be, yeah,
But that's
thought
not
that was
super
weird.
culturally relevant anymore.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't probably just trying to keep his memory alive somehow.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah.
Netflix animated series. I guarantee it's gonna sound so cringy. The voice acting they're gonna do for him is probably gonna be
yeah.
really bad.
I can only imagine.
They said adult animated. I wonder if that means we'll see some boobies.
I'm not sure. Or probably just
Yeah.
good violence. Yeah. Yeah.
Honestly, they probably when adult animated probably just means it's like not for kids. It's not gonna
Yeah.
be like a Disneyland comic or something like that.
Yeah,
It's gonna be one
more
of those
like
things
a
that
violence type thing, if it sounds like it.
Yeah, or probably maybe just like a regular comic book because a lot of those like Marvel comic books are suited for all ages. If
Yeah,
I
it
might be talking
varies.
on my fucking ass here. I'm talking to a guy that
No,
owns a goddamn comic book
it
store.
varies. They have
But-
there's actually comics for all ages. They have obviously like ones that are solely directed at children. Like Crypto the Super Dog and things like that.
yeah, I
um,
would read that.
And then the majority, I would say, kind of land in the middle. They're aimed at teenagers, 13 to 18. That's all the ones, Spider-Man, Batman, right? Aimed at teenagers. And then DC and Marvel both have their own mature reader lines. Marvel doesn't really print on theirs anymore, but it was called Marvel Max. And then DC has theirs, which is called Black Label, which used to be known as Vertigo. And that's where you tend to get more adult storylines and things like that. And then the independent publishers, it varies greatly. Some are made for mature readers, some are for teen. But there's a rating system similar to movies and TV shows and things like that.
Interesting.
Okay.
So what is the difference then between like those teenage ones to the mature one? Is it just like more violence, maybe more murder language to it? I mean,
yeah, language is definitely one of the ones, but even then, in like, there's one that comes to mind called The Scumbag. That's like a mature reader comic, and I even think in that one, the language they typically, I think it's just because it's kind of the culture of comic books. They don't actually put the swear words; they'll just put like the symbols. You know what I mean? I think that's more of a just a commonality. They can. There's definitely comic books where they have swear words in it and stuff, but I think it's just more of a cultural thing that they put, asterisks, colons, and stuff like that over the swear words. But it's either, the language, and then of course like the imagery and stuff. Like there's like on The Scumbag, there's a splash page of the main character like jabbing a needle into his arm while having explosive diarrhea in the middle of a sidewalk. So yeah, not something you would typically see in a teen-rated comic book. And that's like on like the second page that they do that. This just huge splash page of the main character shooting up on a substance in the street while his pants are around his waist and he's having explosive diarrhea. And people are watching.
Very nice.
Sure.
Yeah, that's to give you an idea. That's, the kind of stuff you see in comic books versus on TV. Sometimes.
Yeah. I'd love to see that on the next Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It's an interesting book to say the least, but yeah.
Yeah, and I've heard that about I typed in The Scumbag diarrhea and didn't really get the results that I wanted, so
Oh my god.
It's The Scumbag issue number 1 if you're looking for it.
Yeah.
That's the way it happens.
Okay. Yeah, don't type in Scumbag diarrhea.
No.
So I do know comic books can get pretty bad, though. I mean, we've talked about, and I wanted to jump into like the whole like Deadpool kills the Marvel universe.
Yeah,
a little bit there.
Right over here, I think.
Yeah, no, I'm super interested in that. But I remember the official podcast, Bert. They talked about like a comic book. I don't remember what it was called, but it was like all of these humans do really, really screwed up, effed up things. And the scariest part is that all of the things they do are truly screwed up and messed up and everything. But the scariest part is that they're all very doable. Like they're things that everybody today could do, kind of thing, which makes it the scariest part. So, and of course they go into a lot more detail about some of the things that they do, but they just show you kind of what the human species is capable of, and the very bad things that could be happening right now, kind of thing. So they get a little dark, though. It
sounds like Red Room. What you're describing, that is.
I think it was Red Room. I thought it was Red something, but
yeah.
Am I right with that, or am I fucking making shit up, or is that
no? It's pretty graphic. It's I only have issue 1 in my store because it just didn't sell super well. But yeah, it's definitely. I didn't read it just because I have like a weak stomach, I guess. But it's pretty intense. That kind of stuff, I like I said, I read comics for storytelling. But if you want to see that kind of stuff, that's in there too. I mean, even if you think of like the Amazon series, The Boys, the comic book version of that. I mean, like sometimes comic book writers will purposely set out to make something that's like truly grotesque and offensive, and that's kind of what Garth Ennis was going for when he created The Boys. He was trying to like be offensive to people, so they really go for it. Because I tell you, the show is like a Disney movie compared to the comic book.
Sure.
Wow.
It is. The comic is something else.
I think it's good that that there are comics like that out there. It's obviously like kids and shit shouldn't be fucking reading them, but just to show you, like, just not everything's all nice and sunshine and rainbows as the TV shows like to make it.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
This is real world shit. This is stuff that's happening. It's good for people that are interested in that, for them to have that option. Just kind of like country music. It's something that shouldn't exist, but it should be available to those insane enough that want to read it. I'm looking at the Red Room right now. Is it by Ed Piskor or something like that? Is that right?
That sounds familiar. Yeah. It's got a kind of a crazy cover. There's like 4 or 5 issues, I think. It was a mini series.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
think
a pretty cool art
just
style.
ended recently. The last issue came out not too long ago. But yeah, let me see if I can pull it up here. I think Ed Piskor is correct. Yeah.
The Antisocial Network, Red Room.
Yes. Yep, Ed Piskor.
This one has a needle in front of their eyeball. That looks spooky.
Yep.
Maybe I don't like that. What's the name of your comic book store?
My store is GTX Comics.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Easy enough to find. It's for Georgetown, Texas, where we're based out of.
Okay. Gotcha. Maybe I'll buy one from you.
Well, I appreciate it.
If I'm feeling generous, if I'm feeling lucky, don't get too excited. No, I'm kidding. I'll look into it though. And that kind of leads into our movie thing that we were talking about with everything. As far as me, there's a chat with us button. Could I send you a message right now and you would get it?
Yeah, it would go to my phone.
Oh, I should say sup.
Yeah.
Should go on Burton Burger.
There you go.
Just checking out the website. We'll leave a link in our description for your website.
Well, I appreciate
man.
that.
This looks pretty dope.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the media can be really screwed up. It can be really effed up. Things can get really weird, and I think it's okay to make something that's really messed up, unless it's kind of like what Bert watches.
True. Yeah.
But it's just the human mind can go into weird places and things like that. And if we don't have an out in order to get these weird things out, we turn into Ted Bundy, I guess. I don't know. He said something about that and born in prison one time. So, it's okay for it. So we do this section in our podcast that's called Booby Time, where we ask each guest what their most screwed up, effed up, weirdest, baddest movie was that they've ever seen. Booby and movie sound the same, so we try to be cute and get some more likes on TikTok because boobs is in it.
True.
Don't act like you don't know what I'm talking about, Joel. I've seen your recent videos where you have hot girls in the beginning, and you're like, it's your cute little mustache face. And you're like, yo, you should check out comic books with me.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that more later. But I did hit you up though, and asked you to bring a movie to us. What did you have in mind for Bert and I to check out for our next episode?
Yeah, so it's not, I wouldn't say it's a bad movie. It is a really weird, trippy movie. Rather, kind of a messed up ending and stuff, but it's called A Scanner Darkly.
Have not heard of it. A Scanner Darkly? Is that what you call it?
Yes, A Scanner Darkly. It's visually, it's very odd because it's animation laid on top of like live action.
Interesting.
But it's Keanu Reeves, Robert Downey Jr., Winona Ryder, Woody Harrelson.
Holy shit.
A lot of big names. It's from the early 2000s, like 2005, 2006. It has to do with like drug use and stuff like that. But it's a great movie. It's really trippy and weird visually. Obviously, like the story is kind of crazy and everything, of course. But yeah, it's definitely a slept on movie that I think you guys would enjoy. Kind of looking at the list of other stuff that got recommended to you. This will fit in nicely there.
Awesome.
This actually looks really cool.
Yeah.
I've never even heard or seen anything about this before, and there are some huge.
Yeah, they got some big names.
Yeah, it didn't do super well at the box office for some reason. Because I remember when this movie came out, I actually worked at the movie theater. That was like my first job when I was in high school, and I remember seeing this there. And it's like, I don't know why this movie didn't do better. It's got some really big names. It's got some, it's really inventive artwork and stuff. In terms of like the visuals, if you look it up, that's what the whole movie looks like. It's like this weird animation laid on top of live action, kind of art style. Things are visually really off and weird, and it's great. I think it's a great movie. Definitely worth checking out.
Sure.
Yeah, it looks almost exactly like Borderlands. If you've played those games.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like the
it has
cell
a very
shading.
similar appearance to it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a great movie. I think y'all will enjoy that one.
Yeah, no. So we will take a peek at that sometime this weekend. We will sit down, hold hands, eat popcorn, and watch this lovely movie together.
Yeah.
And excited to see it. And the whole reason why we do Booby Time now at this point is it really just allows us to see what people classify as weird or effed up or bad or anything like that. We've had some movies that are truly, truly disturbing, and that's what we're looking for. We don't want like snuff porn or anything like that, but we do want to see the crazy, crazy stuff out there, and just see how weird people can get. But then we'll actually have some bangers that were like, this isn't weird at all. I actually really like this.
Yeah.
Or, wow, this movie's rated PG. I don't think you understood the questions.
Yeah.
When I was actually in the service, a group of friends of mine, we would actually get together like every weekend and like have like a barbecue and then watch like terrible B movies and like make drinking games out of them, like Sharknado. I think we watched all 3 Sharknadoes that were out at the time. Sharktopus versus Whale Wolf, just really crappy movies like that. Like Lake Placid 4. Just these really terrible B movies and stuff. Piranha 3D.
These just sound like movies you guys made up while you were having these drinks.
No, I'm telling you, there was one Avalanche Sharks, just like really crappy like Sci-Fi Channel movies, and they're like beautiful train wrecks. You know what I mean? It's just
Those are the best.
Yeah, my wife and I, one of our first time hanging out and like meeting each other, we actually watched Troll 2, which I don't know if you've heard of that movie. It's kind of a cult classic now.
Is it like the DreamWorks Trolls movie with Justin Timberlake in it?
No, it has almost nothing to do with Trolls. And there is no Trolls 1 and there is no Trolls 3. There's just Trolls 2. And
nice.
It's considered one of those, cult classics, midnight showing type of movies now. But man, it's rough. It's a rough movie. It's because it's just so bad.
That's fun.
But I love good old crappy B movies, so I totally get that.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, we will talk about your crappy movie, and no, I'm kidding.
Yes.
But
Scanner Darkly, I think y'all will with like what I said, looking at the list of other stuff you got recommended, I think Scanner Darkly will fit in nicely in there.
Yeah.
I trust your judgment.
Excited. Yeah, excited to watch it. It looks like something I'd honestly watch if I came across it on Netflix. I'm like, holy shit, Keanu Reeves and Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr. when he was still crazy too.
Yeah, perfect. Woody Harrelson. I mean, all of these people. What was I gonna say? That happened with the Bad Batch. Have you seen that movie?
No, I haven't seen that one.
I saw that one on Netflix. Yeah, no, I was just going through that. And that had like Jason Momoa in it, Jim Carrey, Keanu Reeves.
Really?
All of these actors, and I've never even heard of it. Yeah.
Jason Momoa and Jim Carrey, that right there piqued my interest, but then you throw Keanu in there.
Yeah, exactly. It was crazy. Yeah, it was like this it was kind of like Mad Max, like in the desert and everything like that, post-apocalyptic kind of scene there. And I think I can't remember. Society might have been fine, but what they did is they took these really messed up people, instead of putting them in the jail, they like threw them out in the desert, kind of thing, and then they just survived. And but I feel like something happened to the planet to where they're out there and they just don't want to deal with them, so they put them out there. But yeah, it was a really shitty movie. I didn't like it, but I had to watch it because, like you said, Momoa and Jim Carrey and Reeves and everything like that. Jim Carrey played a very like small role in it. He was like some homeless man that pushed around a shopping cart and didn't talk all too much. I don't think he talked at all. I don't think the motherfucker had a tongue, if I remember right. Like, he was mute as shit. Yeah, and Jason Momoa was a bad guy cannibal too, and Keanu Reeves was like king of this weird cult. It was not. They played roles you wouldn't really expect.
Yeah. Sounds interesting. I mean, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, that might actually be a movie that I would suggest for booby time for people.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It was, yeah, and the girl got like her leg chopped off, so she was like walking around the desert with a prosthetic leg and everything, and she had those like smiley face shorts on, where like like the Walmart smiley face where it's like winking at you and shit like that.
Oh,
She
yeah.
had it on her ass cheeks and everything. So she kind of talked like this a little bit too, so I couldn't forget that. So yeah, Bad Batch, shitty movie. Anyways,
Okay.
going back to not some other shitty things, we got our buddy Joel here with us still. Yeah, what's up with the little cock teases you're doing in front of all of your videos? I don't appreciate it. And I'm like, oh, look at this smoke show. She wants me. And then I see Joel's just big fucking beautiful face with his mustache grinning ear to ear. Like, yo, check out comic books. Hit that plus button. I'm like,
you're
thanks,
talking
Joel.
about it, so it worked.
That is
It
true.
worked real fucking good.
That is true.
Yeah, I that first one I did it with, where the girl's like rambling on a jet ski or something, that was just like a trending video, and I was like, I wonder what she's saying. And that's not even the original video. I stitched someone's stitch
Sure.
with that one. And then the other one is a girl who has recently become infamous for child abandonment.
Oh, nice.
She got arrested for that. She was like some Twitch streamer or something that got arrested for child abandonment. So that video was trending for that reason. I was like, well, might as well use that to my advantage to get some views. But if you're talking about it, it means it was working.
Dude, it worked really good. Yeah, no, I had to bring it up. It's just like this girl with green hair, like doing peace signs and shit.
Yeah.
And overhauls or something. Let me
Yeah, I
see
just
if
I just kind of do that for help
Advertising
get views and stuff, try to get, more followers and everything. So
yeah. You're like, yeah, she's a baddie, but if you like comic books, you should.
yeah.
I'm like, thanks, Joel. Appreciate it. You're
welcome.
My like for that one. No, that's smart though. I mean, it's kind of like not the clip art, the cover photo that you choose for every TikTok, where you have, and it just shows a little 1-second clip of you going back and forth.
Yeah.
Where you pick the most interesting one to try to get people to do it. So people are going through and they're just checking this fucking girl out. She didn't have green hair, by the way. The car behind her was green as shit. But,
yes, the Lamborghini that she had or something.
Yeah, kind of all blended together, I suppose. But but it catches people's attention and then brings them in to let them see. Oh boy, you're doing something, Joel, that gets people's attention for them to actually check out something that you actually care about, which is your comic book store and things like that.
Yeah.
Boy, Bert, doesn't that sound familiar?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, Joel. When we asked you to come on the show, you checked us out on TikTok. I saw. Did you notice any kind of themes or anything that's on our TikTok that, I don't know, stood out a little bit to you? Might be super fucking cringe or anything like
no,
that?
I kind of scrolled through a couple of things and got an idea. I saw y'all are doing like a map of like U.S. counties. I thought that was pretty interesting.
God damn.
There she is.
There she is. Yeah.
Gets people's attention.
Yeah. So imagine you make those videos with the girls being bad bitches or whatever in front of it. And then next thing you know, that's what you're known for, is posting pictures of just our videos of bad.
Is that kind of what happened to y'all?
Things. That's what's happening with these fucking county videos, unfortunately. So
interesting.
We don't really advertise our podcast too much. We do now, but when we first started out, we kept things on the down low because we had to. I can't have my boss finding this show, let's be honest. So we keep everything very secret, so it was very hard to grow. We obviously want it to be bigger than PewDiePie, but until it gets there, my boss can't know about it. So we were just keeping things quiet, and the talk we uploaded the talks, and it was just us playing video games, posting podcast clips and things like that. But there's a lot of cringy trends on TikTok, as I'm sure you've noticed.
There can be, yeah.
Where it's like people will go live and they'll be like, just send a comment and I'll write your name down.
Yeah, yeah. I don't
on my Lambo or on my fucking wall.
Yeah,
There
it's odd. It is a weird platform at times if you're trying to like get people's attention and stuff. I don't personally get that. I try to just bring value and just discuss stuff, but people are interesting on TikTok to say the least. Everybody's like, you see, it's like the early days of MySpace or something. You know what I mean? Like the early days of social media again is what it kind of feels like.
Yeah, no, people like we'll put our blood, sweat, and tears into a podcast clipper, and I will sit down and we'll do good, and we'll get some likes and everything, and we'll be happy with that. But then we'll get 1 billion views on a pop can crushing video. So
yeah.
So we decided to conform with it instead of just actually bitching about it. And we stooped down that low and started doing something simple where I just post pictures of a blank U.S. county map, and I say, everyone, just comment your county. Make sure you're following us here on TikTok, and we'll get your county colored in. And my fucking goodness, I mean, everything just blew up after that. I mean, it just went crazy. I mean, we're a pretty small channel still. We're nowhere near what Big Joel has here. So, but it's a lot better than what we were at. And what it does is it allows us to mix in our actual content with these county videos. So a county video will go get 5,000 views, no problem. And then our podcast views, I think they went from like 25 views to maybe 37. So, I mean, this is improvement.
Yeah.
Okay.
You get people's attention. I mean, it's all about, when you get onto a platform and stuff and doing what's native to there to get people's attention and kind of draw them in. And then you can, hit them with the big hits after that, and kind of work them down into your core content and stuff. So I totally get that.
Oh yeah.
And I also understand what you mean when you say like, I don't get into that. Like, I know it's a big thing, but it's really not my thing kind of thing. Yeah. Same way with these counties, dude. Like, I could give a shit less if my county's on some random ass TikTok colored in, but people will go insane about it. So we just try to, not necessarily take advantage of that, but use that to our advantage, I guess.
No, I get it. I mean, I do the like voiceovers and stuff sometimes on my main page. I actually did the like towel on a head thing today. I don't know why I did it. I was like, this is the only time I will ever do it. We'll see how it works. But I have something similar. I have a secondary page like for my comic book shop where all I post on there is literally just videos of me packaging people's orders.
Nice.
So basically, like, they place an order, they comment their order number, and I'll do a video of their comic books being packaged, do a little voiceover and stuff. And it works because people, you're getting their attention, and it does help my sales and stuff. So sometimes you got to do what you got to do to get people's attention, and then you can kind of reel them in and give them the good stuff once they get there.
And yeah, that's the point. But that's really cool. I didn't know that you do that. So maybe if Bert and I peel some TikTok money that we got together from our live, maybe we'll buy a copy of Red Room, and you can make a cute little video for us. And
yeah, just my other page is GTX Comics on TikTok, so I was able to snag that username. Yeah, so anywhere on I have social medias for both me and for the comic book store. So
okay,
but yeah, it's all about doing what's native to the platform. That's why I do the like weird Stitch videos, or I have another one that I'm going to be doing later, like that guy that was all over everyone's For You page with the random fact and stuff and other things like that. So I do things like that just because it's native to the platform, get people's attention, try to get them sales in. So
point them to what you want them once you get their attention.
Yeah,
kind of thing. All right, no, checked it out. We'll follow you, and we'll get an order in.
No, I appreciate that.
No, because I do want to, and I'm sure Bert will read that Red Room comic too. He'll check it out with me. We'll read it together. We'll sit next to each other, hold hands again, and
take turns reading aloud.
A little bromance.
Bert's really into that incest shit. It runs in his family. But
oh my God.
Going forward though, man, I have noticed that it does look like you have an actual like fan base for you, like, because I've seen people doing those things where they're like, name a TikTok account where if they followed you back or something, they would freak out. And you've had some videos doing that. That's got to be real exciting.
Yeah, I really love people. When it comes down to it, I love being able to talk to people, especially about something that I care about, like comic books and things like that people want to talk to me about. It is always exciting. So I really love people. I love interacting with people. So when someone says that, like, me doing something simple, like duetting their video or following them will make their day, that makes my day, to know that I can help put a smile on someone's face. Because that's the whole reason why I decided I wanted to open a comic book shop, right? I want to share this awesome hobby and my love of comics with other people. So it's nice being able to, be able to do something nice for folks, or, something that'll make someone's day just a little bit better. I'm always game to do that.
Yeah. Very wholesome.
That's awesome, and that's just the best kind of content that you can make, is where you're making shit where you're having fun with things. And to be honest with you, Joel, I don't have fun making county videos. They're stupid. They're dumb. I don't like them. They're not fun. Anymore, especially over the disaster we had a few weeks ago, where we said everybody that comments their county will automatically get it colored in, and 3,000 comments later.
Oh man,
that was a pain in the ass. So, but
it might hold you over till your next thing. You never know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It helped out our YouTube channel a lot, man. I mean,
that's good.
Where we use the county videos to specifically grow Burger. So then when we have guests reach out to us, they can see we have a few thousand followers versus 16. You know what I mean? So
I get you,
numbers aren't everything, but I know as a guest, they want to make sure they're going on a good show at least. They don't want it to be on an iPod Nano speaker or
of course
in a coat closet with no signal, or a podcast where the host comes in with the guests and they talk for 5 minutes and the co-host makes the guest super uncomfortable because he just won't talk. We have that happen in our show all the time. So with good old buddy Bert here. So I'm not sure he's picking up on that one. So it's definitely helped us. But we have gone live, though. I did mention that we have gone live. I've gone live. Fuck Bert, he doesn't do anything. I've gone live where I color in counties, and we had, I don't know, I mean, Joel here, he probably gets a bunch of people in his lives. We had like 60 some people in last night at one time. Wow. It's like somebody said, like, when you're streaming, just imagine you're playing a video game like on a couch and there's 60 people in the room watching you. Kind of thing.
Yeah.
But there's 10 people in the room watching you. There's 20. You know what I mean? It's just really cool to be able to have that, and you can say something and they respond to it, and they ask you questions and things like that. And so that's got to be a good feeling, though, when you do, like you were saying, it makes you feel good when they're like, "Oh, can you follow me?" It would mean so much.
Yeah. It's nice to be able to connect with people. Wherever it is at, even if it's on social media and stuff. It's, it's nice to be able to share a moment with someone, or know that, they gave you a couple minutes of their day. That's the best gift that I think anyone can give, is a little bit of their time.
Oh yeah.
And I think it helps where the three of us, we weren't born into fame by any means, or we weren't successful at a young age. I mean, I definitely was, unlike you peasants, but for this large meat size that I have. No, I'm kidding. But we know what it's like if we're following some YouTuber or somebody else on some social platform, and if they said something, if it was like, for example, like a illustrator for a comic book series that you like that's not super popular, but you would think it's the coolest thing in the world, and they're making like $70 a month off the comics, like it's nothing crazy, but it would mean a lot to you. You know what I mean? So like,
yeah, of course,
that's where I'm at too, to where when we have these county comments come in live, I try to do all of them. I try to do them in the order they were received. And things like that. Like, I try to make sure I talk to everybody. You're saying their name. You're talking about them, because it makes people feel good. Inside. Unfortunately, I mean, we're getting hundreds of comments all at once for people with their counties colored, and so Not necessarily the comments we want. I'd like them to be like, "Yo, Bert's a bitch, Bert's a bitch, Bert's a bitch,"
Yes.
over and over again.
Or,
That's
and
what
over.
I would like to
Bert
see.
made
But
such
it's
a
like,
cool
"Yo, can you
talk."
color in my county?" Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite part is when Bert posts a TikTok that he worked really hard on.
Oh yeah.
And then we're playing video games together, Joel and I'm like, "Yo, Bert, you got some comments on your talk." He's like, "Yo, no way." And it's just people asking him the color and counties from the previous video.
It's so funny. What the hell?
Bert actually responds. He's like, "Fuck off." No. Wrong co-host.
Wrong one.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Very funny.
Yeah. No. So, I mean, I guess going forward, I mean, you got some big plans, it sounds like. You want to make an actual store and everything like that. I mean, what is the future for GiJoel, though? I mean, I know you talked about building a YouTube channel that's starting to do well for you. I saw you're doing like full movie reviews over there on Dune and everything like that. So, just the plans for the store, the plans for you, I mean.
I mean, it's all, I kind of see it all as one. I do YouTube. I upload 3 times a week. And then I'm trying to add 2 more series onto there. So those will kind of be a little bit more sporadic, kind of sprinkled in and stuff. Like I said, I'm a full-time dad most of the day. I don't know if y'all have kids, but they do take up quite a bit of your time, especially toddlers.
My baby cousin here takes up a lot of my time,
Yeah.
so I'm guessing kids do the same thing.
So I spend a lot of my day doing that, but I'm trying to add in more content and stuff because, I genuinely love talking about these things. I love sharing my love of comic books, of movies, of all this stuff with other people. So it's a lot of fun for me. And then it drives business to the store. So I would like to continue to grow my YouTube, continue to grow my TikTok. I have goals for that, of course. And then, the GTX comics, the goal is to kind of keep growing the business through, using my personal brand, the GiJoel, to drive more attention to it and stuff, to the point where it can afford to rent out a retail space here in Georgetown, Texas, where I live, and open up my own comic book shop. That's kind of the dream. I still do weekly updates of that. Like I said, I used to do just footage of my day, whether it was doing the laundry or packaging orders and stuff on TikTok, and I would kind of just talk about what I was doing. I would upload 2 to 3 times a day doing that. That's how I started for the first couple of months, just kind of taking video of my day. I don't do that on there anymore. Now once a week I kind of do a rundown on YouTube every Friday of the things that I've done to grow the business, steps that I've made to kind of help grow the brand and everything. Because growing a business, I thought it would be a much, I think I went in with a little bit wrong expectations, thinking that, every day something interesting was going to happen. But really, it's a slow process, turning something out of nothing. So weekly updates seem to work better. I usually have more information to share with my audience and stuff, and with my followers, kind of giving them a end of week rundown of what I was able to accomplish, how many orders came in, how many customers, like I'll mention that I was on this podcast and stuff, things like that. So
sure.
Cool.
Yeah. So, and just a quick question. I mean, it might be obvious if you know anything about business, but you sell comic books. I mean, are these comic books you sold over the years, or do you have like deals with these comic companies to where?
Yeah.
Like, how does that work? Like, how do you have all of these comic books to sell?
So it's just similar to most other retail businesses. I have a tax license and a retail business license and stuff for my county and state and everything. So you need those.
Would you like us to color in your county?
Yeah, sure.
Complimentary.
But yeah, I have the business licenses and everything. So you don't go to the comic book companies directly. They use distribution companies. And for like the last 20 plus years, there was only one company. But thankfully their monopoly has been slowly getting broken up, with publishers wanting to go to new companies. So basically you just set up distribution accounts with the other companies. I buy the comics at less than the price that's printed on the cover, and then I sell them for the price that's printed on the cover. So that's kind of, a standard retail practice and everything. Since I'm buying in bulk, since I'm buying tax-free because I have the license and everything, I'm able to sell them. All comics have a price printed on them, so you just sell it at that price.
Okay, interesting. So I was going to say, I mean, you could kind of just play the system where you're just getting all these business stuff and then just buying the comic books for yourself. But if you're buying them in bulk, that kind of defeats the purpose a little bit.
Yeah, I have I have customers that subscribe to stuff. That's a big thing within comic books, is having like a subscription set up. Since individual customers can't buy from the distribution companies directly, they go through comic book shops, and I basically every week they tell me, it's all automated, of course, but every week I get a printout of what they're subscribed to. I order those comics for them, and then when they come out, I send it to them.
Sure.
So that's a big part of it, having a pull list and stuff. And then I try to use that information to help me kind of inform orders for other customers and stuff that I'm trying to get into the, just buying single issues and everything. But yeah, it's pretty similar to most retail business models in that sense.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Comic books are one of those things that I never really got into as a book. Now, I love the shows and movies and stuff like that growing up because, again, Spider-Man was my big one when I was younger, and I remember just going to like a bookstore and there was just some comics there. I'm like, okay, I'll just buy this one. I have no idea what it is or anything, and I believe Spider-Man was with the Fantastic Four in this one, and I'm pretty sure Mary Jane just fucking died.
Yeah, that happens sometimes.
And like Spider-Man was all upset about this, and the Fantastic Four was like, shit, this is bad. And they were talking about people that were in the previous issue and everything, so then I just kind of stopped because I think I might have been 10 years old maybe. So I was like, oh, Spider-Man, I'll just get this comic. And then there's so like, it's like you can't just jump into like a episode of a TV show because you'll miss all the important stuff before it. So how do you, because I know you said like want to get into comic books but don't know where to start it, check us out, we'll go from there. Because you're constantly having these convoluted storylines where they're all connected, and if you miss one, you miss a lot, and people die in these things, but then it doesn't mean shit because they just come back to life or things like that. I mean, how do you just kind of introduce people into comics? Where do you, like, here's a great place to start and to go from there?
So, I mean, it kind of varies. When someone wants to read, a Spider-Man or a Batman, Batman's a good example. It's been running continuously since 1940, I think is when Batman came out. 1939, 1940 was when he first came into the scene. And it's been nonstop since then, right? So there's all this history and stuff. But, what I usually tell people is, do you know their origin story? Which most people do from the movies or TV shows. The origin story stays the same, right? So as long as you know that, like, that's half the battle, right? And then I tell them, you kind of have to either wait for a new creative team to come on board, because when a new writer comes in and a new artist comes in, it's an all new story, right? So say, for example, going back to Batman, issue 116 came out this week, right? Comes out today. Sure. Issue 118, which comes out in December, because Batman comes out twice a month, is an all new creative team. So issue 118 is the new starting point, right? So if you want to read Batman, you start at issue 118. Do you need to go back and read the other 118 issues plus everything that came before that? Not really. Anything that's important, they put notes in the panels and stuff. They'll have like an asterisk next to the dialogue, and they'll say, go back and read issues, 81 through 85 to hear more about that. But you don't need to do that if you don't want to. That's why I tell people, I think sometimes people they put pressure on themselves to have to know everything that's going on. But in reality, like, just read it, enjoy what's happening. You get a lot of exposition in comic books, so a lot of dialogue dumping of information for letting you know what's kind of happening, and you kind of go from there. So that'll be the first thing, is either wait for a new creative team, You can wait for a new story arc to begin, which you can usually tell on the cover page. It'll tell you how many issues into a current arc that they are. Or you can just jump in and start reading, because most comics have a synopsis on the first page of everything that's happened up until that point. So in terms of single issues, that's usually what I recommend people to do, is one of those three. But the most common format that most people read comic books in are actually called trade paperbacks. And those are like the much larger. You can buy them at Barnes & Noble. You can buy them at Amazon, or you hopefully buying them from a local comic book shop. With those ones, they just number them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Whatever it is. And those ones you would just read based on the writer. So if you were to go to a rack and there was a bunch of amazing Spider-Mans and you wanted to read one contained story, you would get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it all has the same writer's name on it. And that's how you would know.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, so it's about the creators more so than the characters.
Yeah, and I remember you saying that, and you even have like a video on your talk where you're talking about like the top 5 illustrators or artists, or with things like that. So it's just, if you like a character, look at their author, look at the person that created that kind of thing, because they're more than likely going to make something else.
There was something about it that you liked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's why I tell people, if I gave them a recommendation and like, oh, I really loved this book, like, do you have anything else that's like that? I'm like, well, you probably really liked did you like the writing or did you like the art? Which part of it? And like, oh, I really liked the writing. Well, then you might really like Rick Remender. You know what I mean? That just happened a couple days ago. I gave him a recommendation. I was like, you probably really like Rick Remender. He has a very unique style, which if you liked that book, you're going to like other stuff that he's written. So I was like, these are the titles you should check out, and, see if you like them. Because if you liked that one, you'll probably like these, and kind of go from there. That's kind of usually how I get people into it. It's, what did you like about it? And let's go explore from there together.
Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely. And then the last question that I do have for you, man, is a big one about the entire process. I mean, comic books as a whole, how's it going? I mean, we're going on to 2022 here. They were huge back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and everything.
Yeah.
And now we have the MCU and everything. I mean, as somebody that owns a comic book store, are they dying out? Are they making a comeback? What's happening?
I think we're in a state of change when it comes to comic books. Obviously, with like the popularity of digital comics and being able to read them online, and of course NFTs and stuff, I think we're about to see a shift to where that's going to become a larger part of the market. But I do not see it as a, physical or digital. I see it physical and digital. I don't think it's going to get rid of the other, because most collectors, even ones that really read a lot of digital comic books, I read digital comic books, but it never beats having that paper copy in front of you. You know what I mean? Having a physical comic book in your hand is a very special experience. And it's rather daunting, for people, like you were saying, you went and picked up a comic and you didn't know what was going on. So that's why I try to be so welcoming and inviting to people, because there's no stupid questions when it comes to comic books, as far as I'm concerned. So people want to be kind of guided through the process and stuff, by somebody who knows. But I think we're going to see a shift away from the big companies, as artists and writers are more able to connect with the audiences and do things more on an independent basis, which is something that we're starting to see more of. I mean, the guy who's writing Batman, he's writing Batman, which for, obviously he's a comic book fan, James Tynion. He's leaving Batman. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like they told him he's done. He left, you know what I mean? And that's like, you left Batman. It's Batman. You know what I mean?
It's fucking Batman, bro.
Yeah, like he's walking away from Batman to go work on his own independent stuff. Because his independent books, one of them got picked up for Netflix. You know what I mean? It's absolutely exploded. So he's found he has 2 of his independent series have both been picked up for TV shows. So he's going to go and he's going to focus more on independent stuff. So I think, as the need for content kind of expands, the need for comic books is going to grow with that. I was even speaking to a writer not too long ago. He was saying, it used to be you wrote a screenplay and you would send that into some Hollywood production agency, and hopefully, it would get picked up. Now you write a comic book and you show them the sales numbers of the comic book and you can get it turned into a movie. So comic books are being treated as like proof of concept when it comes to the things that we're seeing on TV, movies, TV shows, with Netflix. I mean, Netflix, like I said, they have an exclusive deal with one of the comic book publishers that anything that publisher that has good enough sales numbers will get converted to a TV show on Netflix. So the comic books, I don't think they're going anywhere. It's the oldest form of human communication. I'm sure, I think we're coming to an end here, but comic books, cave drawings are comic books. They're the same thing. So it's not going anywhere.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to hear, man. I mean, they definitely shaped a lot of our culture today.
Yeah.
In a very, very big way, and I'm glad that they're finally getting the respect that they deserve.
Definitely having a renaissance for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said, I remember when the Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, Hulk, all those came out. And I'm like, boy, I know there's a lot more cooler shit out there. I really wish they would make some better movies with this. And here we are.
Here we are. Yeah, with the MCU.
I've heard they've made like $25 billion plus.
Oh yeah,
those movies
it's
far.
insane. It resonates with people, which I'm glad to see. So many people enjoying something that I've been trying to tell people is cool for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Sure.
Told you so, right?
Yeah, literally a fucking hipster, like a full-blown true one. Who liked it before it was cool.
You
just got to show them the business license. You're like, see, I told you.
See, I was doing this for a while.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, wrapping everything up, man, Joel, I mean, it was a lot of fun to have you on, man. I mean, do you, at this point of this show, just kind of want to shout out your stuff, let people know where they can find you at, man?
Yeah, you can find me pretty much anywhere. The GiJoel, JOEL, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. If you still use Facebook, I guess too. But yeah, anywhere that you do social media, the GiJoel. If you want to learn more about comic books and stuff, I always reply to comments and DMs and do my best to talk to everyone that comes to me. So I'd love to hear from you.
Awesome.
Absolutely. And all the links will be in the description down below on the YouTube channel, both for GiJoel's socials and his comic book store. So we'll keep in touch with you, man, especially now that you have your own store. We'll definitely buy some stuff and have you package it and send it us out to Burton Burger Studios here.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I look forward to it.
Absolutely. Thank you, man. But also thank you guys, to the fans out there listening to this episode. We greatly appreciate you guys sticking around for this episode. It was a lot of fun. Remember, we're just trying to bring a little bit of the podcast element to the family world. That's
True.
it. That's all it is. Or it is the family element to the podcast world.
Good
One
stuff.
or the other. Depends on how you feel. When I said it, it didn't sound right, so that's why I said it
perfect.
twice. Damn it. Yeah, like I always say, guys, it's just comedy. Fucking calm down. Bert, where can they follow us outside of the podcast?
Yes, drop us a follow over on Twitch. We stream every Saturday night. Some spooky games, puzzle games, whatever you guys suggest.
Disneyland Adventures, whatever you guys want.
Oh, yeah.
We'll play it for you. So, again, Joel, thank you so much for coming on, man. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, guys, that's all we got for you for this episode of the B&B Podcast. Check us out on Spotify, YouTube, Google Podcasts, everywhere in between. And we will see you all in the next episode. Take care, fam.
Peace.